Jasmine Crockett exposes Karoline Leavitt's shady memo on live TV, sparking a fiery Fox News clash. Leavitt scrambles to deny it, but Crockett's calm takedown ignites a viral storm over dirty political tactics. The air in the Fox News studio crackled with tension as the cameras zoomed in on Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett and White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt. The debate was supposed to be about economic policy, but anyone watching could feel the undercurrent of something personal, something raw. Crockett, a Texas Democrat known for her sharp wit and unapologetic style, sat with her hands folded, her expression steady but piercing. Across from her, Leavitt, the young, polished spokesperson for the administration, adjusted her notes, her smile tight, betraying a flicker of unease. The host, a seasoned anchor with a knack for stirring the pot, wasted no time. "Congresswoman Crockett, you've been vocal about the administration's messaging. Care to address Press Secretary Leavitt directly?" Crockett leaned forward, her voice low but deliberate. "I'm not here to play games, Karoline. I'm here to talk about what's real. And what's real is a memo I have right here, from your campaign, outlining a strategy to paint minority women in Congress as overly emotional and aggressive to discredit us." The studio fell silent. Leavitt's face froze, her eyes darting to the host, then back to Crockett. The audience at home could practically hear the gears grinding in her head. "Wait, hold on, that's absurd," Leavitt stammered, her voice pitching higher. "I don't know anything about a memo. This is a setup, a complete fabrication." She waved her hand dismissively, but her usual poise was cracking. Crockett didn't flinch. She slid a piece of paper across the desk, her eyes locked on Leavitt's. "Then explain this. It's got your campaign's letterhead, your team's signatures. You want to tell the American people this isn't yours?" The host jumped in, sensing blood in the water. "Press Secretary, are you denying the existence of this document?" Leavitt's mouth opened, then closed. She was cornered, and she knew it. "I'm saying this is a distraction," she snapped, her voice sharp now. "This is what they do, deflect from policy failures with personal attacks." But Crockett wasn't having it. "Personal attacks? Karoline, this memo is the definition of a personal attack. You targeted me, my colleagues, women who look like me, because you think we're an easy mark. That's not policy. That's prejudice," the studio audience murmured, some nodding, others shaking their heads. Social media was already lighting up, with clips of the exchange racking up views. Crockett's calm, measured tone was a stark contrast to Leavitt's flustered deflections. "Let's be clear," Crockett continued, her voice steady as steel. "This isn't just about me. This is about a system that tries to tear down women, especially black women, when we speak truth to power. You thought you could control the narrative, but you miscalculated." Leavitt's face reddened. She leaned forward, pointing a finger. "You're twisting this, Jasmine. You're making it about race and gender when it's about your failed policies." The accusation hung in the air, but Crockett didn't take the bait. Instead, she smiled faintly, the kind of smile that says, "I see you." The host tried to steer back to the economy, but it was too late. The debate had become a battleground, and Crockett was holding her ground. As the segment neared its end, Leavitt tried to pivot, rattling off talking points about jobs and inflation, but her earlier stumble loomed large. Crockett, meanwhile, stayed laser-focused. "The American people deserve better than smear campaigns," she said, her voice rising just enough to command the room. "They deserve leaders who don't hide behind memos and lies." The camera caught Leavitt's jaw tightening, her eyes burning with frustration. The segment cut to commercial, but the internet was already on fire. Hashtags like "Acha Crockett exposes Leavitt" and "Memogate" were trending, and pundits were dissecting every word. Leavitt's team was in damage control, but the memo's existence was hard to deny. Crockett, though, wasn't celebrating. She knew this was just the beginning. As she left the studio, her phone buzzed with messages. some from supporters, others from colleagues warning her about the backlash to come. Leavitt wasn't going to let this slide, and Crockett could feel the storm brewing. What would Leavitt's next move be? Backstage at Fox News, the atmosphere was electric with whispers and hurried footsteps. The viral clash between Jasmine Crockett and Karoline Leavitt had left the studio buzzing, and the internet was a battlefield of opinions. Crockett slipped into a quiet corner, her phone still vibrating with notifications. A text from a fellow congresswoman read, "Watch your back, Jasmine. They're coming for you." She exhaled, knowing the political machine didn't take kindly to being exposed. Meanwhile, across the building, Leavitt was huddled with her team, her face a mix of fury and determination. The memo Crockett had waved on live TV was real, and Leavitt's attempt to dismiss it had backfired spectacularly. Now she needed a counterattack, and fast. Leavitt's advisor, a seasoned operative with a knack for spin, leaned in. "We can't let her control this. We need to flip the script, make Crockett look like the aggressor." Leavitt nodded, her jaw set. "She wants to play dirty? Fine. Let's show the world who she really is." Within hours, Leavitt's team leaked a series of out-of-context clips from Crockett's past speeches, cherry-picked to paint her as hot-headed and divisive. The clips hit conservative outlets like wildfire, with headlines screaming, "Crockett's History of Angry Outbursts." Leavitt took to X, posting, "The real story isn't a memo. It's Congresswoman Crockett's pattern of hostility. Let's talk about that." Crockett saw the posts while grabbing coffee at a nearby shop, the barista glancing at her with recognition. She scrolled through the curated clips, her stomach tightening. They dug up moments from her early career, speeches where she'd passionately called out injustice, now twisted to look unhinged. Her team was already fielding calls from reporters asking if she'd lost control on Fox. "They're trying to bury me," she muttered to her aide, who was typing furiously on a laptop. "Not if we get ahead of it," the aide replied. Crockett knew she couldn't stay silent. She needed to confront this head-on, but carefully. Leavitt was baiting her into a reaction. That evening, Crockett appeared on a friendly cable news show, her demeanor as composed as ever. The host, a veteran journalist, didn't hold back. "Congresswoman, Leavitt's team is calling you the aggressor, saying you've got a history of heated rhetoric. How do you respond?" Crockett's eyes narrowed slightly, but her voice stayed even. "Karoline Leavitt wants to talk about my tone? Let's talk about her tactics. That memo wasn't a one-off. It's part of a playbook to silence women like me, to make us seem too much when we speak up. I'm not the one scrambling to cover my tracks." The host pressed, "But those clips, are they you?" Crockett didn't miss a beat. "Those clips are me fighting for people who don't have a voice. If that makes someone uncomfortable, good. That's the point." The interview trended almost instantly, with supporters rallying behind Team Crockett. But Leavitt wasn't done. She doubled down, appearing on a rival network the next morning, her tone polished but biting. "Congresswoman Crockett is playing the victim to dodge accountability," she said, her eyes locked on the camera. "She's using race and gender as a shield, but the American people see through it. That memo? If it exists, it's not mine. And I challenge her to prove otherwise." The host raised an eyebrow. "So you're saying she fabricated it?" Leavitt hesitated, then nodded. "I'm saying she's desperate to distract from her record." The accusation hit Crockett like a slap, as she watched from her office. Her team had verified the memo's authenticity. Emails, timestamps, even a whistleblower from Leavitt's campaign. But Leavitt's bold denial was gaining traction, especially among her base. Crockett's chief of staff paced the room. "She's calling your bluff, Jasmine. If we don't release more evidence, she'll spin this as a win." Crockett leaned back, her mind racing. Going public with the full paper trail could escalate things further, maybe even invite legal threats. But backing down wasn't an option. "She wants proof?" Crockett said, her voice low. "She's about to get it." As Crockett prepared her next move, Leavitt's team was already plotting their own. A late-night strategy call revealed their plan: a high-profile press conference. To set the record straight, Leavitt was ready to go all in, but a nervous staffer whispered, "What if Crockett has more? What if she's got something we can't spin?" The room went quiet, and Leavitt's confidence wavered for the first time. The stakes were higher than ever, and the next move could make or break them both. In a sleek DC conference room, Karoline Leavitt stood before a podium, cameras flashing as she faced a sea of reporters. The press conference was her team's gambit to reclaim the narrative after Jasmine Crockett's bombshell memo revelation. Leavitt's voice was steady, her expression defiant. "I'm here to address the baseless accusations made by Congresswoman Crockett," she began, gripping the podium. "This so-called memo is a fabrication, a desperate attempt to smear me and distract from her own failures. I have nothing to hide." The room buzzed, reporters scribbling notes, but Leavitt's team, watching from the sidelines, exchanged uneasy glances. They'd coached her to double down, but the staffer's warning from the night before lingered. What if Crockett had more? Across town, Crockett sat in her congressional office, her team huddled around a laptop streaming Leavitt's press conference. The whistleblower's emails, now fully vetted, were spread across the desk, damning evidence tying Leavitt's campaign to the memo. Crockett's chief of staff, a no-nonsense strategist, shook her head. "She's digging her own grave, Jasmine. Calling it a fake when we've got receipts? That's bold." Crockett's eyes were fixed on the screen, her expression unreadable. "She's not bold," she said quietly. "She's scared. And she's hoping I'll back off." But Crockett had no intention of letting up. She'd already scheduled her own press event for later that day, ready to lay out the full paper trail. Leavitt's press conference took a sharp turn when a reporter from a neutral outlet pressed her. "Press Secretary, Congresswoman Crockett, claims she has emails and signatures proving the memo's authenticity. Can you confirm you've never seen or approved such a document?" Leavitt's smile tightened, a flicker of panic in her eyes. "I've said it's a fabrication," she snapped. "If she has evidence, let her show it. But she won't, because it doesn't exist." The room erupted in murmurs, and Leavitt's advisor whispered urgently to a colleague, "We need to shut this down." But the damage was done. Clips of Leavitt's defiance were already circulating, with ex-users posting side-by-side comparisons to Crockett's calm Fox News takedown. Crockett's press event was held outside the Capitol, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows. She stood tall, a stack of documents in hand, her voice cutting through the chatter of reporters. "Karoline Leavitt wants proof? Here it is," she said, holding up the emails. "These are internal communications from her campaign, dated months ago, detailing a strategy to target minority women in Congress. My name is on this list. So are others. This isn't a fabrication. It's a fact." Cameras zoomed in as she passed copies to the press, her tone unwavering. "I'm not here to play victim. I'm here to call out a system that thrives on tearing down women who challenge it." The press ate it up, questions flying. "Congresswoman, are you accusing Leavitt of personally authoring this?" one asked. Crockett paused, choosing her words carefully. "I'm saying she was part of a campaign that thought this was a winning strategy. Whether she wrote it or just signed off, she's accountable." Another reporter jumped in. "Leavitt's team says you're using race to dodge policy debates. Your response?" Crockett's eyes flashed, but her voice stayed even. "They want to talk policy? Let's do it. But they don't get to hide behind lies while attacking my character. That's not how this works." Leavitt watched the live stream from her office, her face pale. Her team was in chaos, fielding calls from allies urging her to retract her denial. "She's got emails, Karoline," her advisor said, voice tense. "We can't keep saying it's fake." Leavitt slammed her hand on the desk. "Then find something on her. Anything." But her team was running out of options. The whistleblower's evidence was airtight, and Crockett's measured delivery was winning over even skeptical pundits. Hashtags like Rush Crockett Truth and the Leavitt Lied trended, with memes mocking Leavitt's press conference flub. As night fell, Leavitt's team scrambled to craft a new statement, but cracks were showing. A junior staffer, rattled by the escalation, leaked to a reporter that Leavitt had known about the memo for months. The story broke just as Crockett's press event clips dominated the news cycle, amplifying the pressure. Crockett, back in her office, got the alert about the leak. "They're imploding," her aide said, almost gleeful. But Crockett wasn't smiling. She knew Leavitt's next move would be desperate, maybe even vicious. The fight was far from over, and the public was watching every second. The newsroom of a major cable network hummed with urgency as the latest leak about Karoline Leavitt's knowledge of the memo hit the airwaves. Anchors dissected the junior staffer's revelation, while ex-posts with Yachard Leavitt knew racked up millions of views. Leavitt's team, holed up in a D.C. hotel suite, was in full crisis mode. Papers littered the table, and Leavitt's advisor paced, phone pressed to his ear. "We need a response now, Karoline," he said, voice strained. Leavitt, her usual polish replaced by exhaustion, glared at him. "What do you want me to say? That I lied? That'll end me." Her team knew the truth. She'd approved the memo's strategy months ago, banking on it staying buried. Now, with Crockett's relentless pressure and the leak, they were cornered. Leavitt's next move was a risky one. She agreed to a live interview on a conservative talk show, aiming to rally her base and shift the blame. The host, a firebrand with a loyal following, welcomed her warmly. "Karoline, you're under attack. What's really going on here?" Leavitt leaned into the camera, her voice sharp. "This is a coordinated hit job by Congresswoman Crockett and her allies. That memo? If it's real, it was planted to frame me. She's weaponizing identity politics to dodge her record, and I'm not backing down." The host nodded eagerly, but the audience wasn't so easily swayed. Live comments on the stream flooded with skepticism, some even from her supporters. "If you knew, just admit it," one read. Leavitt's gamble was faltering. Meanwhile, Jasmine Crockett was at a community center in her district speaking to a small group of constituents. The memo fight had followed her home, with local reporters asking for comment on the leak. She kept her focus on the crowd, discussing health care, but the tension was palpable. During a break, her aide pulled her aside. "Karoline's on TV right now saying you planted the memo." Crockett's jaw tightened, but her voice stayed calm. "She's flailing. Let her talk. The truth's already out." Her aide hesitated. "There's more. Her team's digging into your campaign finances, trying to find dirt." Crockett's eyes narrowed. "Let them dig. They won't find anything, but they'll waste their time." Leavitt's interview took a turn when the host, sensing a chance to push, asked, "So you're saying Crockett fabricated everything? No one on your team ever discussed targeting minority women?" Leavitt hesitated, a split second too long. "I'm saying I never authorized anything like that," she said, her voice less certain. The host pressed, "But you knew about the memo, right? That's what the leak says." Leavitt's face flushed. "I'm not here to play gotcha. I'm here to talk about Crockett's hypocrisy." But the dodge was obvious, and the internet pounced. Clips of her hesitation went viral, with captions like, "Leavitt crumbles under pressure." Crockett, now back in D.C., got wind of the interview while prepping for a morning show appearance. Her team had compiled a timeline of Leavitt's campaign, emails, ready to release if needed. "She's accusing you of planting it," her chief of staff said. "We could drop the full email chain now, bury her." Crockett shook her head. "Not yet. I want her to keep digging her hole. The public's seeing who she is." Her restraint was strategic. She knew an emotional outburst would play into Leavitt's narrative. Instead, she went on air, her tone steady but cutting. "Karoline Leavitt can call me whatever she wants," she said. "But the emails don't lie." Her team targeted women like me because they thought we'd break. They were wrong. The morning show segment trended, with viewers praising Crockett's composure. But Leavitt's team wasn't done. Desperate, they pushed a new angle, leaking a vague story to a tabloid-friendly outlet claiming Crockett had shady donors tied to her campaign. The story was thin, with no hard evidence, but it gained traction among Leavitt's allies. Leavitt retweeted the article, adding, "Maybe Congresswoman Crockett should answer some questions of her own." Crockett saw the tweet during a late-night strategy session, her team furious. "This is low, even for her," an aide said. Crockett stayed calm, but her eyes burned with resolve. "She's throwing everything at the wall," she said, "but she's about to run out of moves." As the story spread, Leavitt's team planned a final push, a public challenge for Crockett to debate her again, this time on neutral ground. They hoped to catch her off guard, force a mistake. Crockett got the challenge via a reporter's call, and her response was immediate. Name the time and place. The stage was set for a showdown, and the nation was watching. The anticipation for the rematch between Jasmine Crockett and Karoline Leavitt was palpable, with news outlets billing it as the political showdown of the year. A neutral network, known for its balanced coverage, hosted the debate in a sleek Atlanta studio, the stage set with two podiums under harsh lights. Crockett arrived early, her demeanor calm but her eyes sharp, ready for battle. Leavitt, flanked by her team, walked in with a forced smile, her nerves betrayed by the tight grip on her notes. The nation was glued to their screens, X buzzing with predictions and hashtags like, "We Crockett vs. Leavitt too." Leavitt's team had banked on this debate to redeem her, to paint Crockett as the instigator. Crockett, though, was ready to end it. The moderator, a respected journalist, opened with a direct question to Leavitt. "Press Secretary, you've denied knowledge of the memo targeting minority women in Congress, yet a leak suggests otherwise. Can you clarify?" Leavitt's voice was steady, rehearsed. "I've said it before. That memo, if it exists, wasn't my doing. This is a distraction from Congresswoman Crockett's failure to deliver for her constituents." The audience murmured, but Crockett didn't react, her face composed. When her turn came, she leaned into the mic, her tone measured. "Karoline, you can't keep dodging. I've shown emails, timestamps, signatures. Your team targeted me and others because you thought we'd crumble. The question is, why are you still lying?" The room tensed, cameras catching Leavitt's jaw clench. She fired back, "You're the one spinning lies, Jasmine, accusing me of things you can't prove to play the victim card." But Crockett was ready. She held up a folder, her voice cutting through the noise. "Can't prove? I've got the full email chain right here, sent to your personal account, Karoline." You replied, "Looks good. Proceed." "Want me to read it?" The audience gasped, and Leavitt's face drained of color. The moderator intervened. "Press Secretary, care to respond?" Leavitt stammered, That's not accurate. I never—" Her words trailed off, her usual poise shattered. Crockett didn't let up. "This isn't about me, Karoline. It's about a system that thinks it's okay to smear women, especially black women, to keep us in line. You bet on that system, and you lost." The crowd erupted in applause, but Crockett stayed focused, turning to the camera. "The American people deserve better than dirty tactics. They deserve leaders who own their mistakes, not ones who hide behind excuses." Leavitt tried to pivot, rattling off talking points about policy, but the damage was done. Her deflection fell flat, and the audience could feel the shift. The debate's final moments were electric. Leavitt, desperate to regain ground, accused Crockett of dividing the country with her rhetoric. Crockett's response was a masterclass in restraint. "Dividing? No, Karoline. I'm calling out the truth. You tried to tear me down, but I'm still standing, and so are the women you targeted." The moderator wrapped up, but the internet was already ablaze. Clips of Crockett's takedown went viral, with Jasmine Crockett wins trending alongside memes of Leavitt's stunned expression. In the days that followed, Leavitt's team issued a vague apology, admitting missteps in the campaign, but stopping short of accountability. It wasn't enough. Her credibility took a hit, and whispers grew about her stepping back from the spotlight. Crockett, meanwhile, became a symbol of resilience. She spoke at a women's leadership conference. Her message, clear: they'll try to break you, but you don't have to break. Stand tall, speak truth, and the world will listen. Her words resonated, sparking a broader conversation about women in politics and the tactics used to undermine them. The fallout reshaped the narrative. Pundits praised Crockett's composure, contrasting it with Leavitt's unraveling. Grassroots groups launched campaigns to support women candidates, citing Crockett's example. Leavitt's career didn't end, but her influence dimmed, her name tied to the memo scandal. Crockett, though, emerged stronger, her district rallying behind her. She returned to Congress with renewed purpose, her office flooded with letters from young women inspired by her stand. The confrontation had been brutal, but Crockett's triumph wasn't just personal. It was a victory for every woman who'd been underestimated. The nation had watched, and they'd chosen her truth over Leavitt's tactics.